Hi BookTube, my name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with the mid-year book freakout tag for 2021. I had not planned on doing this. I'm not someone who does tags on my channel very often. It's been a while since I've done a tag. Let's put it that way. However, I've been watching everybody else do this and I want to join the party because they really are fun to watch. Kind of a really fun look back into specific books that you've been reading over the course of the first half of the year. So I'm a bit late to the party, but you know, better late than never. So here we are. I am very excited. So this was originally created by Earl Grey Books, I believe. She was one of the co-creators. I'm not sure who the other one was, but I'll leave a link to her original video. I think it was back in 2016 in the description box below. So you guys can go ahead and check it out. And there are 13 questions here. So this is going to be pretty easy to get through. So let's jump in and get started. So very first question right off the bat. Best book you've read so far this year. And I do have some physical copies to show you guys. So the best book I've read so far this year, hands down, is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I loved this. I absolutely love this. This was a fantastic historical fiction. Takes place during the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl in Texas. I think in the Texas Gulf area, like I think if I'm remembering correctly, but this was amazing. Amazing. Not exactly the happiest book you're going to read this year, but really, really thought-provoking, really interesting. I always say a good mark of a mark of a good historical fiction novel is the kind that makes me put the book down to start researching what they're talking about. You know, when I get interested in finding out the actual history while reading a book, and Kristen Hanna's books make me do that. Like, I've read this one by her, and The Winter Garden by her made me do the same thing. With the siege at the St. Petersburg, what happened to people in St. Petersburg during World War II from the, I think it was the Germans who did it. But yeah, this was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Highly, highly recommend this book if you're a historical fiction person. I really, really enjoyed it. The next question is the best sequel I have read so far this year. And this was like my favorite book in January. So we're going way back to the beginning of the year. And that was Enjoy the View by Sarah Morgan Thaler. This is book number 3 in the Moose Springs, Alaska series. I loved this so much, you guys. I think I gave this 4.5 stars. And a grouchy mountaineer, a Hollywood starlet, and miles of untamed wilderness. What could possibly go wrong? So she makes like documentaries, and he is a mountaineer, as it says, and he takes her up this mountain in Alaska, her and her like crew, to do this documentary, and romance ensues, and I loved it. I love this whole series, but this, if, you know, I'm looking for best sequel of the year, even though it's third, it's still a sequel. It's a sequel to the second book. So yeah, really, really good. I love this one a lot. Best new release. Okay, new release you haven't read yet. So this one I got a couple of months ago when it came out. And the reason I haven't read it yet is because I'm waiting for the audio to come in at my library. Like I'm on the wait list for it because I've read her first 2 books and both of them I listened to on audio and she narrates them. And it's like her books are absolutely fantastic, but her narration is just a cherry and sprinkles on top of the delicious cake, essentially. And that's Broken in the Best Possible Way by Jenny Lawson. So like I said, I'm waiting for this one to come out on audio. I follow her on Instagram. I think she's an absolute delight. So yeah, this one is, she suffers from several different mental illnesses, and she is very upfront about it. And these books are pretty much like little essays about what it's like, just like her life in general, also living with mental illness. They're really, really good. Her first book was called Let's Pretend This Never Happened, which I really enjoyed. The second book was Furiously Happy, and now this one. And the first 2, I mean, there are parts of these books, I can't speak on this one yet as I haven't read it, but the first 2 parts that had me laughing out loud, she is my kind of humor. I think she's hilarious. And then there are other parts that are really thought-provoking, very heartfelt. And yeah, she is just a fabulous author, and I really, really love her stuff. And I'm really looking forward to getting to this one. Next one we have, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So this book actually comes out on the 29th of July. And that is Isn't It Bromantic by Alyssa K. Adams. This is the 4th book in the Bromance Book Club. I read the 3rd book in May, and I read the first 2 books in 2020, I think. And then the 3rd book in May, and now the 4th book. I have it on pre-order on audio. I do have an e-copy from NetGalley. However, I love the narrator, and this is the Russian story, and I am really, really excited about it. I have been anticipating this one for a long time, and I cannot wait to get to it. Biggest disappointment. I do have this on physical copy, but it fell behind one of my bookcases. Oops. So I need to... No, accidentally. Legitimately, it wasn't on purpose. My biggest disappointment of the year so far was Maid of Dishonor by Heidi Rice. I gave this book 2.5 stars. This is one of my lowest rated books of the year. I just did not like this one. This was about 2 main characters who end up, like, she ends up sleeping with him, but he's actually engaged to one of her best friends. And it's not like she didn't know, she knew who he was, slept with him anyway. So very unlikable characters on both their behalfs. I just didn't love this story. I don't want to get too much more into it than that, other than the fact that this one, the cover is adorable. I really, really like the Kiss books. This one just completely just didn't do it for me. So it is what it is. Question number 6, biggest surprise. Now, not a surprise that I don't think I was going to like it. I knew I was going to like this one. However, I didn't know I was going to love this book. And that is The Sea in Winter by Christine Day. I read this for middle grade March. And oh my gosh, you guys, this book was so good. It's about a young girl named Maddie. Is it Maddie? Maisie, excuse me. Who is dealing with depression because she suffered an injury. She's a ballerina and she suffered an injury and now she can't dance. And her family's going on this road trip and it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, if you participate in middle grade March, read it next year or read it now. Just go and pick up a copy and read it now because it was so, so good. I absolutely love this. Yeah, this was amazing. And I flew through this and couldn't put it down. And I'm so glad I have a physical copy of it for my shelves because I just feel this is a book I will want to reread at some point. I really liked it. Next up, we have, excuse me, hold on one second here. Favorite new author. Debut or new to you? I cheated. So the first author, I picked 2 authors. The first one is a debut author. The second one is a new to me author. So the first one is Pursuit of the Truth by Katie Richards. So I picked these authors based on the books. So I read Pursuit of the Truth back in, I think, March. This book was amazing. And this was also the book that was kind of the catalyst for starting the podcast because both Brie and I read this book and were like, this book is so amazing. Why is nobody reading and reviewing it? It had so little reviews on Goodreads, so we really wanted to start highlighting these category romance books because a lot of people do sleep on them. They're like, yeah, you know, whatever. This book was so, so good. The romance in this one was fantastic. The kind of whodunit intrigue aspect of it was fantastic. I loved this. Absolutely loved this. So that was the debut author. The new to me author was Cold Case True Crime by Denise N. Wheatley, which you guys know I read very recently. I read it in June and I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. Another Harlequin intrigue novel. You know, these are like some of my absolute favorites. And I love this one so much. I don't want to get too much into what either one of these is about because they are a bit of an intrigue. And I usually go into my books not knowing that much. So yeah. I'm just telling you guys, pick up both of these books. You will not be disappointed. They are so good. And they're both also behind closed doors. There's no sex on the page in either of these books, which is true for the intrigue line in general, in case you were curious. Question number 8, newest fictional crush. I am not answering that because I don't get crushes on fictional book characters. I will be honest, there's reasons I watch CSI. And as much as I love the mystery aspect of it, it's definitely Nick and Warwick. For anyone who has watched CSI, I mean, they are great eye candy on that show, and I have to admit, yes, there is a crush aspect there, but not in books. Not in books. Question number 9. Newest favorite character. So I decided to pick a character from a book that I literally just finished yesterday, and that was Layla from The Marriage Game. I just talked about this one on my weekly reads yesterday. It would have been Sunday that you guys would have seen it. And I just thought she was hilarious. She's a baseball lover. She has an attitude. She marches to her beat of her own drum, essentially. And that's why I really liked her. You know, she's not meek. She really stands up for herself. And I really, really liked her. But she stood out to me mostly just because I just finished the book. So yeah, I have to say, as of right now, she is one of my favorite characters this year. Book that made you cry. Now, I haven't read any books that really, really made me cry this year. However, there are a couple scenes in this book that did. It was the first thing I thought of. There were a couple scenes in this book that did make me cry, and that was Alone by Megan E. Freeman. This is another book that I read for middle grade March. This is essentially the story of a girl who ends up getting abandoned. Her town overnight ends up being completely evacuated, and her parents are divorced, and her mother thinks she's with her father, and her father thinks she's with her mother. So she gets left behind, and she's left behind for a number of years. So there's a lot of heartbreaking things that happen in this book, and I am very, very sensitive when it comes to animals. And there was some stuff that talked about animals that really made me upset, and I will admit, made me cry because it breaks my heart to hear animals suffering at all. So yeah, this was really, really good, though. This whole book is told in verse. So it is a very, very quick read. Very quick read. Again, another one. If you participate in middle grade March, or if you're a middle grade reader, please go ahead and pick this one up. It was really, really good. Again, another one I am really glad I have in physical format, because I will probably be picking it up again. Next book. A book that made you happy. I also have this one on physical edition. I can't find it. I think it might have fallen behind the bookcase too. I had an incident the other day where some of the books off my shelf fell behind, like, between those two bookcases. See, they kind of go like this. They kind of fell behind. So I'm going to have to move a bookcase to get back there, which is just a pain, but whatever. The book that I want to share is Road Trip with the Best Man by Sophie Pembroke. This is a very recent read. This was a road trip romance. I absolutely loved it. She gets left at the altar. He is the groom's brother and best man. She wants to drive across country from California to the Hamptons to find her former groom and ask him, like, what the hell? Why did you do that? And he's there to kind of stop her, essentially. But, of course, things happen along the way on this road trip. It was a closed-door romance. I absolutely loved it. I love a good road trip romance. This was delightful. You need to check this book out. Please, please, please. It was so, so good. Second last question. Most beautiful book that you've bought so far this year or received. So I was skimming through my shelves looking for something else, and I knew that this question was there. And I immediately pulled this book off the shelf, and I don't think I've ever shown it to you guys, but I did get this one earlier this year. And that is, of course, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. So this is a Penguin Classic Deluxe Edition. Now, I saw this on Steve Donahue's channel. He got a copy of it, and I fell in love with it. Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite stories of all time. Of all time. I absolutely love it. I've watched the movie more times than I care to think about. I have two copies of this book in a really old leather-bound edition up on my shelf, but I wanted to give this one a reread. And there is, like, images in the book. Yeah, I am very, very excited to read this edition. So there's the front of it, right? And it's got the French flaps and the deckled edges. So there's the French flaps. And the back of it is just, I mean, this is just amazing. So, okay, I haven't read Alice in Wonderland since I was a kid, I'll be honest, or Through the Looking Glass. However, my question is, for those of you in the know, is this a Victorian novel? Can I read this for Victober? Because if so, I think I'm going to. Oh, this is the 150th anniversary edition. I did not realize that. But yeah, I am very, very excited to read this one. I think the edition of this is just absolutely beautiful, and I'm super, super happy to have this on my shelf. And this is the edition that I will be reading when I do give this one a reread. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? All of them is the answer. Anything I have on NetGalley, essentially, that is coming out more towards the end of this year. I have a ton of stuff on NetGalley to read. I am very, very fortunate that I get approved for books, and there are so many great Christmas ones that are coming out. Sarah Morgan's got a new Christmas one called The Christmas Escape. Rayanne Thane has a Christmas one called Sleigh Bells Ring, I think is coming out. Brendan Novak has a new Christmas book coming out. I mean, and then plus all the ones that are going to be released from Harlequin under the category line. So, or under the category lines, I should say. So that's always exciting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, pretty much I'm looking forward to all the Christmas books. You know, I know a lot of people are talking Christmas in July, and I didn't participate in that this year. I wanted to really read summer books this month, but rest assured, my friends, rest assured, by September, you're going to start to see the Christmas books coming out on this channel, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, guys, that is all that I have for this video today. I do hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know how your year so far is going with your reading. What was your favorite book that you've read so far this year? What was your biggest disappointment? And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.